Hey everybody, it's Master Galengeist here, bringing you my review for One Piece Season 2 on Netflix. And I thought this season was pretty good. I do know that it kind of felt more like a filler, kind of introducing us to the Grand Line and kind of tiding us over until we get pretty much started on the whole kind of next arc. And I still thought it was pretty enjoyable because it gave us kind of an understanding of what it takes to kind of navigate the Grand Line, certain kind of players inside the Grand Line, and just giving us kind of a come down of how it took us to get onto here in the first place. So I think this is definitely a decent place for that kind of lull, and I'm glad it was just like 16 episodes. It gave it a kind of a more kind of manageable quality. So we start off, and the Straw Hats are pretty much barreling down Reverse Mountain, and they get pretty much stuck with this whole kind of like whale scenario, Laboon, and it pretty much eats the ship, but Luffy's on top and like kind of grows through the whale, and we find out that this like Crocus dude has been like taking care of it for like 50 years, and that it's trying to like make sure that it survives, and it just keeps smashing itself against Reverse Mountain because the pirates said it like followed as a baby, said that it had come back for them, but they have been gone off of the Grand Line and left and didn't come back for the whale. And that's sad for Luffy, and he is able to kind of like help the whale. We get introduced to these kind of wacky people, Ms. Wednesday and Mr. Nine. Yeah, Mr. Nine. And they're trying to kill the whale to like feed their settlement, and they stop them, and Luffy promises the whale that he'd come back and they'd fight and everything because he starts sparring with it, and the whale's like, alright, cool. And it's like, yes, Luffy, that's what you do. And I like that part of that. And they also get gifted a log pose, which the thing is, everything on the Grand Line is fucking nutty. Like, each island has its own kind of like magnetic kind of setting. So you use the log post to like hop between different kind of islands and everything, and you got to stay there for a certain amount of time for it to get calibrated and everything. It's like, this will be interesting. So they kind of start like going through and trying to get to kind of different islands. They actually decide to take Ms. Wednesday and Mr. Nine to Whiskey Peak. And it's like, all right, let's kind of see how this goes. And they pretty much are welcomed, and they also dealt with like weird fucking weather, getting snowed on, and they're welcomed just like, why are you welcoming pirates like this, doing this kind of feast and everything. And they pretty much are like, okay, they're gonna get like either eaten or like taken or some kind of weird fucking thing, as we get introduced to Baroque Works, which is a rival, like a bounty hunting criminal organization kind of thing, which is kind of weird because at first they're like it's a bounty hunting thing, but then it's more like a criminal enterprise kind of thing, and then they focus more on the criminal enterprising act. Zoro does not get drugs, like screw this shit, and it's just like beating a wholesale ass pretty much. Before we get introduced to like Ms. Valentine and Mr. Five, who pretty much one ate a fruit, that devil fruit that could like she could affect her weight, like she could go like weightless or pretty much like thousands of kilograms, and the other dude can make explosions from anything from his body, fucking boogers everywhere and shit. It's like, goddamn, yeah, you're gonna have to have a kind of beef with that. Luffy had pretty much eaten himself into a food coma, but wakes up and then sees that everybody was beaten, and then he starts having a fight with Zoro, which was kind of stupid because Zoro was trying to explain to him that these people were trying to like fucking screw him over, but he never really got through to it, but Nami was able to kind of do it. It's like, okay. I didn't really see the purpose of that kind of bit, especially when we get introduced that there's like people in Baroque Works that were trying to figure out their boss's identity, who we learn is Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the Grand Line. They are pretty much like government-sanctioned pirates. Like, the world government's like, hey, you do you, I think. Now, granted, I'll probably get more information as what's kind of going on. And the thing is that they're going after Ms. Wednesday, who's Vivi, and the one kind of dude, Mr. 8, is like the captain protecting her. She's the princess of Alabasta, and they want to take over Alabasta. And the whole thing's like, yeah, if we take this over, we'll make our own nation, and whoever's like been really good with Baroque works will get a really good place in that kind of thing. And that's all kind of bullshit, evidently. So it's like, shit. So they pretty much are able to take on Ms. Valentine and Mr. Five and kind of like not completely screw him over, but get him knocked out enough to kind of make him not worth anything. And the Mr. 8 dude pretty much goes off and tries to like lead him away, but he gets kind of blown up. And then this Ms. All Sunday chick pops up, tries to give them an eternal log post, which is a post that doesn't need to be like recalibrated. It's set to one kind of island. And Luffy's like, fuck that noise. I don't trust you. Fuck off. You blew up that really old, that nice old guy. Fuck you. And I'm like, you know what, Luffy? You might be really fucking stupid on a lot of things, but that's actually not that bad of a thing to think of. So she's telling them to not go to the next Little Garden kind of place, but they're like, fuck it. They get to it. It's like a prehistoric thing. We got two giants kind of fighting each other, which is kind of cool. But they've been fighting for like hundreds, like 100 years, but they don't even remember what they were kind of like fighting about. And the thing is, we kind of get an understanding that it was like a hunting kind of thing, because Zoro and Sanji get into the same thing as they're trying to like get the biggest kind of dinosaur. It's like, this one's bigger, but it's got less usable meat. And we also get introduced to Mr. 3 and Ms. Golden Week. And they need to get to Alabasta really fast because of how Baroque Works is pretty much trying to take it over. And this waylaying's not good. The Giants pretty much tell them that they kind of get introduced to different kind of spots. Luffy and let's see. Certain ones are like with Brogy, certain ones are like with Dory. Dory? Brogy. Elbath. Let me see here. Oh, and we also get a little checkup on Kobe and Helmeppo as they get like taken in by like a vice admiral, which seemed kind of weird, but I think they're trying to like get them up on a certain level, and the vice admirals are like pretty big beefy kind of dudes, and it's kind of cool to kind of see that and see them kind of doing their training and somebody taking an interest in them and getting them through the kind of like Marines organization. I do hope that we get a little bit more of that, more than just like the kind of filler thing. Let's see here. Yeah, Usopp and Nami are with Brogy, and then Drory is like Luffy and Vivi, as like Luffy almost got eaten by a Brontosaurus, and then the dude got chopped off his neck's like, hey guys, and they just fight until like they have a volcano signal, they fight, and these guys also have like giant bounties on their heads, and Mr. 3 wants to pretty much take them out and take out the Straw Hats as well, as he uses his devil fruit powers to pretty much turn them into wax and everything. Also fucking with the whole kind of duel that's going on, as Luffy's like, that's bullshit, and tries to stop him. And then Miss Golden Week's the one that kind of like fucks with him with her kind of paints, which was interesting to see how they kind of dealt with that kind of scenario, because it's something that Luffy couldn't punch his kind of way out of. As she first made him like apathetic to saving his friends, and then laughing, and then tranquil, and Usopp's like, what the fuck are you doing? Sanji kind of got fucked over the most of all, as he was just kind of like fucking around with like, where the fuck is everybody? Before essentially getting into the plot important kind of bit of actually talking with Crocodile, one of the warlords, and learning what their kind of whole bit was, and getting an eternal log post to Alabasta, so that way they didn't have to wait on the island for a year to get put to the next island. And then we see that Usopp melts all the wax to save everybody, and then Luffy's able to like take out number 3, and they get all reunited as they pretty much take out from the rest of the island as the giants take out the koi. That's the island eater, which linked up nicely to Usopp's kind of tale of like, hey, there's a giant goldfish that poops, and I thought I was on an island, but it was just its shit. And those giants had the same kind of thing happen. So that was a cool little thing as they blast them through that, and they set off on their next adventure. Though granted, the Baroque Works kind of ones were like Mr. Five, Ms. Valentine, were not. They seem to be put up well enough on Whiskey Peak, but after that, which granted is just more of a cactus island, it's really kind of weird. I thought there was going to be something at least detailing with the whole kind of whiskey, but now it's like cactuses and like gravestones and shit. But I did like seeing the kind of giants, learning about Elbaf and all that kind of stuff, and just seeing how the characters react, as it's not too high of a stakes, but enough to get us set up for the whole Alabasta arc that we know is coming, as they're going to be fighting one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and how that's going to like push them to kind of new heights. And I know that people are like, not a lot happened here. Well, I do like that it was kind of a come down, kind of chill thing. We don't, we just have the characters being characters, learning about them more as they interact and do different kind of stuff without going completely into their backstories. You do need some of that stuff after we have done a lot of the heavy lifting in the first season, and then this one kind of is a little bit lower, a little bit slower, getting us into kind of different kind of stuff, getting us slowly introduced to the Grand Line, and then getting us into the kind of next arc setup-wise, so that way we can go a little bit further ahead when we get there. So, yeah, I could definitely be like, somebody's like, you could pretty much skip this. Now, granted, since I'm going through sequentially, I could eventually get to that same kind of conclusion of like, yeah, nothing really pivotal happened here except the introduction of Vivi and the understanding of Alabasta, and you could probably pick and choose certain kind of ones, but I had an enjoyable time with this season, and I would definitely recommend it if you like the first season, and to just continue going and be like, okay. Now granted, you don't really have to watch much. If you have it on in the background and you catch Princess Vivi, Alabasta, Crocodile, Warlords, and then maybe like some of the Kobe stuff, you're pretty much good to go. You won't really miss much, like if you would try and do the same kind of stuff in the beginning with like Sanji or Usopp or Nami's or Luffy's or Zoro's backstories and all that kind of stuff. This is a chill enough one that you could have it in the background, but if you really kind of want to just sit and entertain, you'd have a pretty entertaining time in my opinion. So I would definitely recommend this if you were into the first season, and I can't wait to kind of get to the next seasons as well and see what else happens. So those are my opinions on Season 2. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.